Hello everyone and welcome to another How Good Are, or rather today, How Good Is the Cute Character. We're gonna talk about the cutest character that has been released in like the past month or so. We're gonna talk about Mikage, yes indeed, and of course some other memoria, but that's for later. For now though, let's take a look at Yakumo Mikage, the little sister of Mitama, who is blepping as well, because here's the weird thing. All the three best supports in the entire game, they all do the blep in their transformation or in their card art for some reason. I don't know why, other than I guess it must be secret code for I'm a really good support. So she is indeed a support triple XL disc gorilla. Oh my god, that's amazing. She's a dark type, and if you look at her stats, we see that they're rather balanced. We've got some... yeah, nothing too standard in any of these stats. HP is decent, at least for staying alive, so overall stats are doing pretty fine. I'm gonna take a look though at her personal very quickly, and it's got Excel Draw. And I think that this is sort of supposed to be a kind of like comic book that, not a comic book, like a sort of like magazine that you buy for like whatever, like $10, and it costs a lot more than other comic books or like magazines, but it's got like a gimmick in it. Like you get a toy for free, you get a magical scrunchie for free if you buy this magazine, something like that. And actually, this actually reminded me of something in Germany, because we have something called the Yps-Heft, and the Yps-Heft is also like the kind of magazine that just sells itself by just having a toy in it. And yeah, it's Excel Draw, 4-turn cooldown, absolutely amazing, really good, personal, especially for someone who's focused on Magia. So far, even if we just ignore the rest of her character, just by her being an Excel type character with at least balanced stats, not terrible stats, having an Excel Draw personal, that is already really good. Looking at the connect, of course, we're gonna need to ask ourselves how good is actually gonna be the connect, because on a support type, you would expect the connect to be absolutely amazing, right? Because they're gonna be able to support somehow. We see an attack up 40%. Yeah, whatever, it's an attack up, it's fine, good to have it. And it does an MP restore, which is, I think, about as powerful as the one from Madoka. So it doesn't heal like Madoka's, but if you're just looking for the MP restore like Madoka gives on the connect, then you already have this right here, but it's going to be more aggressive than Madoka support. It also gives charm on attack, so once again, even though we have more aggressive stuff with the attack up, we still have something defensive in the charm to be able to hopefully charm some enemies to keep them from attacking, which is really good. And of course also it triggers Addict Killer for your allies. So overall a very balanced connect that gives a little bit of everything. You have some offensive stuff in there with the attack up, you have some utility stuff in there with the MP restore, which also plays towards a certain playstyle in a Magia playstyle, and you also have something defensive in the charm. So this will be a connect that will be useful at least in some way in pretty much every single case. And of course, if you're playing her in the sort of matchup that she's supposed to be played in the sort of team that she's supposed to be played in, you get a sort of Magia team where you can use the MP restore to keep pumping yourself up to Magia, but at least you'll also be able to make use of the attack up for more damage, unlike with Madoka's Connect, for example, which doesn't have anything offensive to it, but also still having something defensive. It's not a heal, but at least you might be able to take less damage by charming key enemy units. So overall, a really good connect. So what else do we have? Well, we have the star of the show. We have a Magia, which is single target damage, and there has been a patch. There has been a patch to the game that has updated every single Magia that isn't hit all enemies. So every Magia that isn't hits all enemies is now way stronger. For example, single target Magias that hit in a line, there's like 4 or 5 Magias in the game that do that, but for those Magias that hit in a line also have been buffed, and Magias that hit random targets, those have also been buffed. And all of those patches to all of these different Magias, what that has done is now all of these Magia deal a ridiculous amount of damage, more so than it did before. So before, single target Magia did about 760%, right? 760%. But now, instead of that, we have 1,152. That's actually kind of absurd. That is about like a 35% damage increase or something, like a 40% damage increase. That's actually ridiculous to have something like this in here. So now Actually, it's more like 50%. Like it's a really, really big amount of damage increase, like that you have like 50%. From what it was before, but this applies of course to other characters as well. It applies to Rena, for example, to Ren, to basically any other character that has a single target Magia or line Magia or random target Magia. But it still needs to be mentioned right here that now retroactively, if you go back to all of my videos where I've said like, oh no, it's a single target Magia, that's really, really bad, right? It was bad at the time, and I can't look into the future, but now retroactively you can look back at all of those videos and you can say to yourself, now it's actually good. That's actually good. Of course, if you have an enemy that has a lot of tiles, like 5 or 6 tiles that you can hit, having an AoE Magia is still going to be better if that's just 6 enemies, right? But now with this, if there was a singular boss that has even 3 tiles that you can attack, single target Magia is still better. Which is kind of absurd, right? Only at 4 tiles will multi-target Magia actually be better. That's pretty crazy. But even so, even if the boss does have 4 or 5 tiles, single target Magia can now at least still keep up in the damage to some degree. Like, they'll not be completely super far behind and completely useless. They'll now actually be still usable, which is great. Now single target Magia actually still usable. That's really good. I really like this change. But now to the actual Magia itself. We have attack up 40%. So I've said before that when you're looking towards a support that is supposed to be like aggressive, helping you deal damage, what you want is someone who gives over multiple turns an attack up or a damage up. You have Karin, you have Ao, they are the only 2 characters in the entire game who give a damage up on their Magia. There's also damage increase from Swimsuit Sakurako, but she's not that great, so ignoring her. But Karin and Ao used to be the 2 best supports in the entire game because they were the only ones giving damage up. But you also needed an attack up. Even if you had any one of those 2, even if you had Karin and Ao, or either of those 2, you still needed someone to give attack up. People chose Manaka or Sayuki, for example. Those are some of the characters that were chosen, or Mitama. Any of those 3 characters or some other characters were often chosen to fulfill this role. So you have both damage up and you have the attack up. You have both in one. Now here we have one who gives attack up. So I guess you can throw out, if you for example had Manaka in your team before, you can throw out Manaka now and say, hey, we have someone else who gives attack up now. And you can also throw out your Karin and Ao because we have now also damage up on here. And that is actually kind of absurd because, as I said, Karin and Ao both used to be the 2 best supports in the entire game because they were the only ones with a damage up. Now she has it as well, Mikage has it, and she also has attack up. That is kind of absurd, right? For 3 turns you get something that before you always needed 2 supports to do this. Now, both in one. You have the 2 in 1 with Mikage now. Does nothing else, this Magia does nothing else, but it doesn't need to do anything else. Now in theory you could say, oh, but yeah, wouldn't it be great if it actually, for example, gave the enemy a status ailment, right? Or if you have something like Sayuki buffs for 5 turns. She only buffs for 3 turns. So I guess if you want to have buffs for longer, you might go for Sayuki, or if you want to have a status ailment, you might go for other supports as well. Until you see the doppel, and the doppel buffs for 5 turns on the attack up, and it buffs for 5 turns on the damage up, and it also applies a status ailment, and it's a level 2 status ailment, so it does give you the improved damage to weak element. Sheer Mikage attack has no weakness, apparently. She is basically everything that you want from a support. Like if someone asked me, what do you need from a support? What do you look for in a support? I would tell them, I want attack up, I want damage up, I want at least a level 2 status ailment. Her doppel does all of that. It burns for 3 turns and does attack up and damage up for 5 turns. That is actually kind of absolutely fucking ridiculous.
That might be the most broken support in the entire game.
That is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And not even that. She also gives attack up, Imperial Restore, and Charm on her connect. So not only does she have a ridiculous Magia with an even more broken doppel, her connect is also really good. She has nothing so far about her that is bad. Until you look at her SE is terrible. But ignoring her SE, she's really, really good in that she's an Excel Gorilla as well, so she can get herself and others to Magia, not just with her discs, but also with her Connect. She has the personal which gives her Excel Draw, so she can guarantee that she's gonna give people a more MP with the Excel combos. It's absurd just how much of all the good stuff that she actually has in her. Her SE is terrible. Why is her SE terrible? Okay, it's not terrible, but why is her SE not that great? First off, she's a support type, but she gets 10% skill quicken. Most other supports get 15%. So small difference, but still noticeable. She gets not a single regular MP gain up. Not a single one. The only thing she gets is a single Excel MP gain up, and nothing else. This is the only other node she has in there to actually get MP through her discs, which is kind of terrible. Kind of terrible. Most other characters have at least even blast gorillas get MP gain up. There's some blast gorillas that get like 15 to 20% MP gain up, which is absurd. And she only gets 15% Excel MP gain up. That's really bad, sadly. She at least gets protected from Magia Seal and from Skill Seal. That's really good, but there's not that many enemies that actually do it, but still, I guess it's fine. She also protects herself in general with Damage Cut and Excel and Magia Damage Cut, so overall her SE seems to be more defensive by giving her different damage cuts as well as seals against Magia and Skill, which is really good. It also gives Charm on attack for sadly only one turn, which is also a more defensive effect. So overall her SE seems to be rather defensive, which she's a very offensive support. She's all about buffing attack, getting enemies to Magia, buffing attack again, buffing damage, burning enemies. Very offensive effects in here, and then her SE is about being defensive. I know that as a support she's probably not gonna do that much damage herself, but I would have just much rather liked MP gain up and Excel MP gain up. I would have just liked more of that. Of course, I've danced around it now, but she also starts the battle with 20 MP. That said, there's still other supports that start the battle with 30 MP instead of 20. But even so, it's still fine. Her SE overall is still fine, but I would have just liked more, especially because we saw some absolutely broken SEs on Sister Momoko and on Vampire Kaneki, who's very hot. Like, we've seen so many good SEs very recently that I just assumed we're gonna see some more powerful SEs in the future, but yeah, I guess they toned it down a little bit for her. And yeah, the active gives Dark Defense down and Defense down against one enemy, which at least it lasts for 3 turns, and with it lasting for 3 turns, you can at least like cover your burst windows. Like if you want to have like a burst window that lasts for 2 turns or even 3 turns instead of just 1 turn, then yeah, it's fine. But even so, it's just all right. By the way, the Dark Defense down, I think, just acts like a defense down, but only if you're attacking with Dark Element damage. So overall, her SE isn't sadly that amazing, but I mean, look at her connect, her Magia, her doppel. It's absolutely absurd just how powerful these effects all together are. Like, attack up by itself isn't actually that powerful, but the thing is, like I said, Karin and Ao are the only ones with damage up because damage up is so important. She has it as well, together with attack up, and she burns the target, lasts for 5 turns. She gets like everything, absolutely everything. Like, really, someone just went up to a McDonald's and said, what would you have today? What would you like today? And in the driveway, it was F4S. And you know what F4S said? I will have the attack up special with the Mac damage up, and I'll take the MP restore nuggets in there as well, and I'll take the big burn as well on the doppel. They just have everything at once, and at no point did the guy behind the counter go, isn't that kind of imbalanced? They just let it happen, right? They just let it happen. F4S ordered everything they wanted, everything in one unit. It's like the Happy Meal of supports in right here, and she looks the way too. Doesn't she look like a Happy Meal of supportage? And yeah, like I said, she bleps, which is also pretty good. So yeah, overall, she's probably the best supporter of the entire game, at least for any team that ever wants to get to Magia. So if you have like a pure blast team, like 3 blast characters, 3 blast gorillas, yeah, probably you don't play Mikage in that team. Or if you have a team that is only about charge, like you have 2 charge gorillas and then maybe a blaster to use those charge points for blasting, like a System Monoko in there. Like maybe in that team, maybe you don't play Mikage. Literally any other team, you play Mikage, and she's going to be amazing. So watch out for that. She's going to probably be a mainstay in 90% of all other Kimojis we're ever gonna see, so great. Does that mean that if you have a fresh account, you should roll for her? I don't know about that. Here's the thing about supports in general. I've said this before during the news video that I did about this as well. In the news video I talked a little bit too much about this character, but what I said in the news video is that supports by themselves don't win games. They don't carry the team. For example though, if you had instead a Final Tart solo just carries you through 99% of stages. Like Final Tart solo with really good memoria beats most challenge stages solo. Not EX, but like regular challenge stages I can do solo with Final Tart. That's not something that any support can do. Mikage can't do that. You can't solo or carry teams just with supports. You need to have strong characters that get buffed and then use those buffs to deal damage themselves. That's the point about supports. So if you have absolutely no good character anywhere, then maybe you don't need a support, maybe you just need a strong character instead, and maybe you should wait for a strong character. But if you do have a strong character that, for example, has 2 Excelis or just in general plays around Magia, because the thing is, if you have like a full blaster character, maybe the blasters are gonna get in the way a little bit to getting to Magia. But in general, if you have any character that might at any point in the battle get to Magia and you play Mikage alongside them, you're gonna have a really nice time. Now, something that hasn't escaped people is that she is a dark type Excel gorilla with white hair. That's weird. Wait a second. Isn't all of that stuff that I've just said, doesn't that remind us of another character? Well, it hasn't passed people up because there have been a bunch of memes about Mifuyu being kind of jealous at Mikage for stealing her show. Don't you guys hate it when someone who's younger and more cute than you comes along and basically steals your spot? Mifuyu just got the SE. She just got SE like a month ago. And already someone who's younger and more cute comes along and just does everything she does, but better. I kind of like the memes. I kind of like the memes about Mitama being super duper jealous, and not Mitama, Mifuyu being super duper jealous about this. But I'm sorry, Mifuyu, you're old, you're bad. Move aside. A younger, a more cute person has come along to steal your throne. Get on with it. Also, by the way, that was the character, but we also have some memoria, because usually I would end the video right there. But we have some memoria as well. We've got popular from the start. It's fine. I said during the news video, this is probably going to be a really good one. The problem is, I was hoping that the effects would be stronger. Just a 30% defense down is basically nothing when you have Meteor Rain that does 50%. I know I keep bringing up Meteor Rain, but Meteor Rain is an unlimited memoria that still hasn't been touched in terms of power level by any other memoria, even by limited memoria. Okay, so it's way better than Meteor Rain. It's way worse than Meteor Rain on the defense down. It's against one target and it's a worse percentage. Like Meteor Rain is 50% defense down against everyone on a 5-turn cooldown. This is 30% against one enemy on a 9-turn cooldown. How terrible is that? Anyway, the Magia damage up I thought was going to be stronger. It's only 20%. That's not a whole lot at all. So sadly this memoria isn't actually nearly as good as I was hoping it would be. Just that the numbers are just way too low. I was hoping the numbers would be bigger. That said, the main reason why this memoria isn't so good is because it has Kanoko on it, and Kanoko probably infested it with some shrooms or whatever that grew all over the memoria's effects and sort of pushed it down in some way or corrupted it. I don't know. We also have this memoria right here, first time makeup, which I think is actually better than the 4-star memoria. It gives damage cut 15% and it gives MP gain up 10%. Here's the thing, there's not that many MP gain up memoria, at least not passive memoria, and the ones that there are, even the 4-star ones, they're either limited or don't have that many good effects on it. So having one that is actually it's got 10%, you probably are gonna get this to maximum break if you're gonna roll on the gacha for Mikage. Like for example, I rolled 280 rolls to get one Mikage, and I got 2 of these MLB. Yay, good luck, I guess. It also gives 15% damage cut, and the thing is, if you're using this on a support, and you say, hey, wait a second, I have a support that doesn't need to do damage. It doesn't matter how much damage Mikage does, I just wanted to get to Magia, to buff everyone else, and get her to doppel, to do even more buffing. I just want her to survive, and if all you care about is she wants to survive and get to Magia, then these are exactly the 2 effects that you want, damage cut and MP gain up. That said, the stats on it aren't that great and the numbers aren't that high because it's a 3-star memoria, but even so, at least the effects that are on it are pretty alright. So yeah, that was that. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.